Hello friends, welcome to Analytics IS Academy and our YouTube channel Let's Crack IS with Analytics IS, where we have been doing a series of lectures targeting your UPSC CSE 2020 prelims. Here we have launched a crash course of 50 days for those aspirants who are going to appear for this year prelims examination with only a single objective, single aim, single motive to help you to develop a better understanding with regard to UPSC prelims examination. In these series of lectures, we have been doing a number of areas of general studies like geography, like polity, like economy. We have also started with our CSAT section of mathematics, English comprehension. So definitely you people must be having some extra advantage after going through all these lectures, and we are trying to help you to develop a better understanding from examination point of view. So as it is a crash course, in this 50 days crash course we are trying to take almost 500 to 700 important concepts from where UPSC has been asking questions repeatedly year after year. In this particular section of Indian polity, I have already taken certain important areas dealing with Indian polity. Like I have completed historical evolution of Indian constitution, which is one important area of Indian polity from where questions are repeatedly being asked. Then we discuss the idea of citizenship as mentioned in constitution, preamble to Indian constitution. Then one very important aspect of your Indian constitution, that is fundamental right. After that, friends, we have discussed a directive principle of state policy, and in last class I discussed with you people one small section of your polity syllabus, but very significant section of your polity syllabus, that is idea of fundamental duties. So these part I have already discussed. In this particular video I am going to start with Indian president or president of India as mentioned in your Indian constitution, and considering the voluminous nature of this particular topic, importance of this topic from where questions have been asked repeatedly, I am going to cover it in two sessions of 1 hour each. So with president friend, I am going to enter into part 4 of Indian constitution. So as you know, our constitution is divided into certain parts, and in this crash course I am going to discuss with you people not all the parts. We are going to discuss those parts from where repeatedly questions are going to be asked. So in this manner around 14 to 15 part I will try to discuss, considering it is a crash course and you have limited time and you have to appear in October prelims examination. And these will be those areas from where repeatedly questions have been asked, and these areas are very significant from your polity preparation point of view. So before entering into this particular aspect of president of India, I just want to give you some broad idea about these parts, their subject matters and related articles that are dealing with these parts. So part 1, as we have already discussed, it deals with union and its territory from article 1 to 4. Then part 2, that was dealing with citizenship from article 5 to 11. In this manner we have discussed part 3 from article 12 to 35. Part 4, that was dealing with directive principle of state policy from article 36 to 51. Then part 4 A, that I discussed with you people in the last session, last class, that was dealing with fundamental duties. And now we are entering into part 5, which is one important aspect of your polity syllabus, that goes from article 52 to article 151. So almost more than 90 articles you will find in this particular part 5. So many times it happens that students, they come to me and they ask how I will be able to memorize these articles. There are so many articles, more than 450 articles. It will be very difficult to remember all these articles. So friends, there is no need to remember all these articles. There are certain articles which are significant articles, which are important articles, that you are not supposed to miss, not supposed to forget. Otherwise these articles are there, and that's why time to time I discuss with you people a kind of structure. Through that structure you should proceed. That kind of mind map should be there in your mind, so that you will be able to eliminate in examination hall that this particular article was not dealing with this particular part. So I am saying that from article 52 to article 151, that is dealing with what? Union government. And as we have already discussed, that government consists of three main organs: legislature, executive and judiciary. So on your screen you will find that union government I have divided into a kind of structure, that is union executive, union legislature, union judiciary, then one small aspect that dealing with article 123 ordinance making power, and there are certain articles which are dedicated to controller and auditor general. So these are the five broader aspects within which union government we will be studying, or whatever book you are referring, perhaps you might be referring लक्ष्मीकांत, डी डी बसु, या जो भी बुक आप रिफर कर रहे हैं उसमें यूनियन गवर्नमेंट को इन 5 ब्रॉड कैटेगरीज में आपको पढ़ना है. So that broad idea should be clear in your mind, and further union executive I have divided into 4 parts where president and vice president is there from article 52 to article 73, then council of minister is there in article 74 and 75, then attorney general, that is dealing with article 76, then 77 and 78 they are 2 articles that are dealing with conduct of business of executive. So from article 52 to article 78, that is dealing with what? Union executive. So you should have some fair idea कि आर्टिकल 52 से लेके आर्टिकल 73 तक का जो आर्टिकल्स हैं ये शायद प्रेसिडेंट और वाइस प्रेसिडेंट से डील करते हैं. 74 एंड 75 ये यूनियन काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर से डील करते हैं. 76 आपके अटॉर्नी जनरल को डील करते हैं, और 77 और 78 they are dealing with some conduct of business. Such kind of broad categorization. I'm not saying कि you should memorize all the article. सारे articles आपको याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है, but yes, time to time in these discussions I will discuss certain articles, and at that time only I will discuss with you that perhaps this article is very important, that you are not supposed to miss, you are not supposed to forget. Like article 52 आप नहीं भूल सकते हैं, article 53 you are not supposed to forget, article 123 that deals with ordinance making power, 74 जो काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर से डील कर रहा है, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आर्टिकल 75 में अगर मेंशन है. ये कुछ आर्टिकल्स ऐसे होंगे जो टाइम टू टाइम मैं आपके साथ डिस्कस करूंगा, एंड यू आर नॉट सपोज टू मिस दीज इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स. अदरवाइज अदर आर्टिकल्स आर देयर बट दे आर देयर एज अ सब्सिडरी आर्टिकल. अगर आपको याद नहीं है तो भी कोई बात नहीं, बट सम इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स वो आपको याद रहने जरूरी है. सो कहीं पे भी ऐसा मैं आपके साथ नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि आपको चीज़ों को याद करने की ज़रूरत है, 450 आर्टिकल्स याद करने की ज़रूरत है. मेनी टाइम्स स्टूडेंट्स दे से कि मैंने 2 बार 3 बार लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ ली है, उसके बाद भी क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं हो रहे हैं, बिकॉज these ideas are not there in your mind. Some broader picture should be there in your mind, broad categorization should be there in your mind. Then you should know why logically these things are there, rather just memorizing that these things are there and you should just cram it, you should just memorize it. मेमोराइज करने की जगह, रात याद करने की जगह, रटने की जगह आपको उसे समझने की कोशिश करिए. और इन लेक्चर्स के थ्रू बस मैं वो आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग देना चाहता हूँ कि यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट वाई दीज थिंग्स आर देयर एज दे आर देयर. Having said so, now we will enter into this important aspect of our Indian polity and constitution, that is chapter of president. And for your understanding, I am going to discuss with you people under these categorization, under these headings, that why we need president, what is the rationale behind having the institution of president, then how institution of president has evolved over a period of year since inception of Indian constitution till 1978. जब 44th amendment आ रहा है तो क्या changes आ रहे हैं in position of president, powers of president. Then we will discuss election, impeachment, oath and qualification for the post of president. We will also try to understand various powers of what president, like executive power, legislative power, financial power, military as well as judicial power. We will try to understand that multiplicity or types of powers that president is enjoying. Then 2 set of the powers perhaps we will try to discuss in detail from your examination point of view, that is legislative power and judicial power. And finally we will try to understand some discretionary powers of president. Even though these discretionary powers, they are not there mentioned explicitly in Indian constitution in a particular article, but there are certain situational discretion that president of India enjoys and that they did in last more than 70 years. So those situations, those kind of discretionary powers, that also we will try to understand through these lectures. So that will be a kind of broad outline of our lecture, our sessions, in which I am going to complete this important aspect of Indian president, from where questions have been asked repeatedly year after year. And because of that, considering importance of this particular topic from your examination point of view, I am going to cover this particular topic in 2 sessions of 1 hour each. So now we will enter into this particular topic. So friends, Article 52 of Indian Constitution says that there shall be a president of India. There shall be a president of India का मतलब ये है कि if India is there, there has to be a president. Country cannot exist without president. Country is being represented by whom? President. And that's why Article 52 is saying that there shall be a president of India. And further, Article 53 says that all executive powers at union level, they are vested with President of India, who shall discharge these executive functions either directly or indirectly with the help of officers subordinate to him, but always in accordance with what? Indian Constitution. So इन दोनों आर्टिकल्स का मतलब आप समझने की कोशिश करिए. आर्टिकल 52 में कहा जा रहा है कि देयर शैल बी ए प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया. हमेशा वहाँ पे एक प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया होंगे. इंडिया कैन नॉट एग्जिस्ट विदाउट प्रेसिडेंट. प्रेसिडेंट इज समवन हु रिप्रेजेंट व्हाट? इंडिया. एंड आर्टिकल 53 से कि यूनियन लेवल पे जो भी एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर्स हैं, दे विल बी डिस्चार्ज इन द नेम ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट, जो इन्हें डिस्चार्ज करेंगे आइदर विद द हेल्प ऑफ पॉलिटिकल एग्जीक्यूटिव, जिन्हें आप काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर बोल रहे हैं, या परमानेंट एग्जीक्यूटिव, जिनको आप ब्यूरोक्रेसी के ऑफिसर्स बोलते हैं. इफ यू गेट सेलेक्टेड इनटू यूपीएससी सिविल सर्विसेज, perhaps you will get an appointment later from president. So president will exercise this executive power either with the help of political executive or permanent executive known as bureaucratic officials, but always in accordance with what? Indian Constitution. So you are bound by the provision of what? Indian Constitution. That is the only restriction on the power of what? President. And president के बारे में बोला जा रहा है कि you are the first citizen of country who always comes first in the order of precedence prepared by either union government or state government. You are the supreme commander of armed forces who always comes first in the order of president. You have the power to declare war and peace, and you are the dignitary who receives foreign head of the state, foreign ambassadors. Similarly, Indian ambassadors, Indian constitutional dignitaries, they visit foreign countries as a representative of what? President. So these are the special position of what? President. Ki you are the first citizen of country, you are the supreme commander of armed forces, you have power to declare war or peace, and you are the person who will receive foreign head of the state and foreign ambassadors. Similarly, Indian ambassadors, they visit foreign countries as a representative of president. But many a times there have been a debate, questions were asked that we are people who are living in a parliamentary democracy. So we borrowed parliamentary democracy from Britain. So in parliamentary democracy there are certain foundational principle. पहला principle ये है कि head of the state is not the head of government. So जब भी parliamentary democracy होगी, there will be two head. One person will be acting as a head of the state, but the real executive power in parliamentary democracy lies with Prime Minister and his council of minister. And president, mostly they work on the advice of what? Prime Minister and his council of ministers. So ऐसे questions raise किए गए कि why we are maintaining office of president when president is bound by the advice of council of minister. Yeah, whatever president is doing, he is doing on the advice of what? Prime Minister. So क्या ये ज़रूरी है कि हमारे यहाँ एक एक्स्ट्रा इंस्टीट्यूशन हो, एक एक्स्ट्रा ऑफिस हो, जिसके साथ बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपेंडिचर भी एड ऑन है, पीपल्स पे टैक्स का बर्डन है. सो वाई वी नीड प्रेसिडेंट. ऐसे क्वेश्चंस टाइम टू टाइम रेस किए गए. और अगर आज की बात हम ना करें, वी शुड प्रिज्यूम ए काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली में ऐसी बात हो रही है कि वाई वी नीड प्रेसिडेंट. सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली में लॉट्स ऑफ डिबेट टुक प्लेस ऑन इशू ऑफ हैविंग वन एक्स्ट्रा इंस्टीट्यूशन, वन एक्स्ट्रा ऑफिस ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट, इवन दो व्हेन रियल पावर्स आर विथ होम, काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर हेडेड बाय प्राइम मिनिस्टर. So it was argued that council of minister headed by prime minister in parliamentary democracy, they are drawn from legislature. They are either member of lower house or they are member of upper house, and council of minister as such, they are collectively responsible to lower house of parliament. इंडिया में लोअर हाउस ऑफ पार्लियामेंट लोकसभा है, और लोकसभा में जो मेंबर इलेक्ट होकर आते हैं वो फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम के थ्रू इलेक्ट होकर आते हैं. फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम अगर आप लोग नहीं जानते तो आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए बस मैं बता रहा हूँ इन शॉर्ट कि फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम में यू नीड टू सिक्योर वोट्स मोर देन अदर्स. आपको दूसरों से ज़्यादा वोट लाने होते हैं इन ऑर्डर टू गेट इलेक्टेड फ्रॉम दैट पर्टिकुलर कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी. सो कोई ऐसी कंडीशन नहीं होती कि आपको 50% से ज़्यादा वोट लाने हैं, जस्ट यू नीड टू सिक्योर मोर देन अदर्स. सो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि मल्टी कॉर्नर इलेक्शन में विथ 30% वोट, 28% वोट, यू आर एबल टू बिकम विक्टोरियस कैंडिडेट, यू आर एबल टू गेट योर सेल्फ इलेक्टेड फ्रॉम दैट पर्टिकुलर कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी. और कई बार ऐसा हो सकता है कि पूरी कंट्री में पार्टी को 30 to 33% वोट्स ही मिले और 50% से ज़्यादा सीट्स लोकसभा में मिल गई, एंड यू फॉर्म योर ओन गवर्नमेंट वेयर मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द मेंबर ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर दे आर फ्रॉम लोकसभा ओनली, and it is collectively responsible to लोक सभा ओनली. सो फ्रेंड्स, मैं पॉइंट क्या रेस करना चाहता हूँ, जब आपको पता है कि योर पार्टी बिकेम विक्टोरियस विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ 30-35% ऑफ पॉपुलेशन, दोज हु बिलोंग टू a particular caste group, those who belong to particular topographical group, religious group. So कई बार ऐसा होता है कि even after becoming prime minister, even after becoming chief minister, these popular government, those who came to power using people's support, they tried to indulge into vote bank politics, and they tried to do something for that particular section of society that they consider they have voted for them. So as such, to you are supposed to work for every section of society, but then also your decisions guided by some political consideration, some political agenda, and in such situation we need a person, we need a neutral body. Those populist decision, those motivated decisions, those decisions which are guided by politics, someone should be there who can remind them of that as a prime minister, as a chief minister, you are responsible to all section of society, not to that particular section of society whom you think that they have voted for you and those who have not voted for you. And because of that, in popular democracy, on your screen it has been mentioned there must be some neutral body to check the motivated act passed by government. So abhi recently there was lots of protests, lots of agitation on one particular act passed by parliament. So right now we are not going into merit of that act, it is already under question in front of judiciary. But yes, a section of society, if they start feeling that decisions of government is going against their interests, or they may start developing some sort of feeling, and if government consider that we got voted to power without the support of that section, so here lies some sort of alienation among a particular section of society from the government. So here we need some neutral office, unbiased, impartial office of president who can remind government of the day that you should not take such decisions which may lead to alienation of one or other section of society. And further, many time it happens that government which got voted to power on popular vote, enjoying majority in Lok Sabha and sometimes also in Rajya Sabha, they may bring certain legislation in haste, जल्दीबाजी में कोई legislation ला रहे हैं, and such legislations may be having some political undertone. तो इवन दो वी हैव ए फीचर ऑफ जुडिशियल रिव्यू, अल्टीमेटली तो ये जुडिशरी में चैलेंज किया ही जा सकता है, बट देन ऑल्सो प्रेसिडेंट ऑल्सो हैज सर्टेन वीटो पावर, एंड थ्रू दैट ही ट्राइज टू प्रिवेंट सच हेस्टी लेजिस्लेशंस विच मे नॉट बी इन पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट एट लार्ज, उन्हें वो अपने वीटो पावर से भी रोक सकते हैं. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट it was recognized that there should be a position of president in a parliamentary democracy that we borrowed from England. और ऐसे बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स हैं जो मैंने आपकी स्क्रीन पे मेंशन किए हैं. There was a famous case of Shah Bano case where Supreme Court of India gave a judgment in favor of that lady who was abandoned by her husband, but because of religious protests, because of sensitivities raised by particular section of society, finally Rajiv Gandhi government overruled through an act. They tried to overrule the decision of Supreme Court. That was one such populist decision. Then various times, more than 100 times in India, president rule has been declared. Even though it was declared in the name of president, but largely on the advice of whom? Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. Then imposition of national emergency in 1975 by Indira Gandhi ji. To some extent it was argued that it was a kind of politically motivated decision. So ये बहुत सारे instances हैं जहाँ पे ऐसा लगा कि popularly elected government headed by Prime Minister, they are taking decisions as per their some political agenda, not concerning larger interests of society. Such debates were raised, such protests took place, and because of that, constitution makers, they were convinced that we need such a position of president who takes his oath in the name of protection of constitution. He takes in his oath for maintaining and upholding the provisions of constitution. So he act as a defender of what? Constitution. So these are the various reasons, friend. Because of that, even if real power lies with Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister, even when Prime Minister is the real head of the government, but a person like President is important in such kind of parliamentary democracy. That was the rationale behind having one position of what? President. तो अब शायद आप लोग को समझ में आ गया होगा कि why we need president. And now I will discuss with you people that how position of president has evolved over these 70 years, in last 70 years since inception of constitution. कैसे president की power evolve हुई है. हमने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया आर्टिकल 53, जहाँ पे मैंने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया कि all executive powers at union level they are vested with president, but article 53 should be always read along with article 74, जो ऐसा बोल रहे हैं कि there shall be a council of minister to aid and advise president of India headed by prime minister. So हमने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया कि in parliamentary democracy head of the state is not the head of government. Real executive power lies with council of minister headed by prime minister. So article 53 was saying all executive powers are vested with whom? President. Article 74 is saying there shall be a council of minister headed by prime minister to aid and advise president. So यहाँ पे constitution is not very clear कि whether advices tendered by council of minister they are binding on president or not, whether president is bound by such advice or not. So wherever any doubt, wherever any confusion is there, such confusion has been removed by the judgments of what? Supreme Court. But even before judgments of Supreme Court, such kind of debate was going on among constitutional dignitaries, those who were part of the Constituent Assembly and later on became President and Prime Minister of India. One such person that you may see on your screen, that is Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and another person whom with you are very familiar, that is our former Prime Minister Nehru ji. So Dr. Rajendra Prasad was of the opinion that since President is the protector and defender of what? Constitutional provision, so he should have some reasonable power. He should not be just titular head, he should not be just nominal head, because Council of Minister is getting elected from people or a member of Council of Minister, they are member of a political party, and party may have what? Some political interest. So many a times decisions of Council of Minister may be motivated by what? Some political interest. But after becoming president, president is considered as a person who does not belong to a party. He is regarded as an impartial person, neutral person, and because of that some reasonable power should be given to president, so that president should be in a position to defend the constitution, protect the constitution whenever there will be any threat to what? Constitution. But Nehru, who was in favor of giving very less power to the office of president. He said that we are borrowing parliamentary form government from England, where king or queen have not interfered in decision of popular government in last more than 200 years, and because of that, president is just a nominal head. He is just a ceremonial head. Power should not be given to president. And further, through judgments also, Supreme Court of India made it very clear that advice of Council of Minister is binding on whom? President. President cannot do anything without the advice of Council of Minister, and President cannot do anything against the advice of Council of Minister. So Dr. Ambedkar, he also tried to explain constitutional position of President in Constituent Assembly by saying that President largely occupies office which is a ceremonial. He largely represents country. His office is an office through which decisions of Council of Minister are made known to people. So in 1976, Indira Gandhi government, when it brought 42nd Amendment Act, it made it very clear that there shall be a Council of Minister to aid and advise President of India, who shall act in accordance with such advice. So it made it clear that advices of Council of Minister, they are binding on the post of President. But during Janata Party government, when 44th Amendment Act was introduced, they tried to balance it. They tried to moderate it. So it was an attempt where they are saying ki alright, President is bound by the advice of Council of Minister, but yes, if he thinks so, if he find that it is proper, then he may send advice of Council of Minister for one more reconsideration. After such reconsideration, if same advice is sent back to President with or without modification, now it is binding on President. So this clause was added, this thing was added through 44th Amendment Act, ki yes, you are bound by the advice of Council of Minister, but you may send back advice of Council of Minister generally or otherwise for one more reconsideration. So that is how position of President evolved over a period of time. So President, all executive powers are vested with President at the union level, but there shall be a Council of Minister to aid and advise whom? President, who shall act in accordance with what? Such advice. But yes, President may refer advice of Council of Minister for one more reconsideration, generally or with some specific reason. After such reconsideration, if advice is again sent back to President, then President has no other choice rather to abide by such advice of Council of Minister, considering principles of parliamentary form of democracy. So friends, now I personally think that you people must be having some clear-cut idea that why we have President and how post of President or power of President has evolved over a period of time. Now we will try to understand election of President. And in election of President, I am saying, since we have already discussed in preamble that India is a republic, and why you are calling it republic? Because head of the state is an elected head, either elected directly or what? Indirectly. So in case of President, there is no provision for direct election, as we see in case of member of Lok Sabha, as we case in member of state legislative assembly, जहाँ पे यूनिवर्सल एडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज के बेसिस पे हमारे पास वोटिंग राइट होते हैं और हम डायरेक्टली जाके अपने एमएलए और एमपी ऑफ लोकसभा को इलेक्ट करते हैं. बट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकर्स, they did not favor direct election, they favor indirect election. So considering a republic, we will have an elected head, but that head of state will be elected indirectly and not through what? Direct election. And reason was given that if there will be a direct election for the post of President, there will be clash of interest between Prime Minister, who is the head of the government. और इंडिया में हम प्राइम मिनिस्टर को डायरेक्टली इलेक्ट नहीं करते, हम अपने मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट ऑफ लोकसभा को डायरेक्टली इलेक्टेड करते हैं. एंड मोस्टली द पार्टी विच इज एंजॉइंग मेजॉरिटी इन लोकसभा, उसके लेजिस्लेटिव मेंबर आपस में चूज करते हैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर. देयर इज नो डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन ऑफ व्हाट? प्राइम मिनिस्टर इन इंडिया, दैट यू पीपल माइट बी नोइंग. सो अगर हम पॉपुलरली इलेक्टेड प्रेसिडेंट लाते हैं जो कि हेड ऑफ द स्टेट हैं बट नॉट द हेड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, एंड हेड ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट इज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. So since President got elected using popularity, idea of popularity or through popular vote, so there can be clash there can be two parallel power center at the union level, there can be delay in decision making, there can be a kind of conflict, a friction between these two constitutional positions, and in order to avoid such kind of friction, such kind of conflict, constitution makers were very sure that there should not be what? Direct election. Rather, there should be indirect election where a specific few will participate in the election of what? President. Who will participate, that we will discuss later on. But then I am saying that no direct election but indirect election. Second major debate was that first past the post system that we are following in case of election to Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly. Why we are following proportional representation system in case of president. सो हमने अभी जस्ट आपके साथ थोड़ी देर पहले डिस्कस किया कि फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम का वन जो मेजर डिसएडवांटेज मैंने आपको बताया कि यहाँ पर मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द वोट वो वेस्ट हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि माइनॉरिटी ऑफ वोट के साथ आप सीट जीत जाते हैं विथ 30-32% ऑफ द वोट ऑल्सो you can become victorious. And if a party gets 30-33% vote throughout country in Lok Sabha election, many times they are able to form government. But for the post like president, constitution makers were very sure that the person who will be holding post of president, you should be having wide acceptance in society. So proportional representation is a system where you need to secure more than 50% of the total valid vote in order to get elected. So instead of first past the post system, जहाँ पे less than 50% वोट के साथ भी आप जीत सकते हैं, we went for proportional representation system where you need to be a clear winner. You need to secure more than 50% of vote, total valid vote, and because of that, our constitution makers they decided to choose proportional representation system instead of what? First past the post system. अगर आपको ये क्लैरिटी नहीं हो पा रही है कि फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट क्या है, प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन सिस्टम क्या है, सो आई विल मेक अ सेपरेट वीडियो ऑन टाइप्स ऑफ वोटिंग सिस्टम. उसे आप देख सकते हैं एंड देन यू विल हैव सम मोर क्लैरिटी दैट व्हाट इज फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम एंड व्हाट इज द प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन सिस्टम. फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम में मैंने सिंपली आपको ये बताया कि यू नीड टू सिक्योर वोट्स मोर देन अदर्स. वो 50% से कम भी हो सकता है, 30% हो सकता है, 35% हो सकता है, दूसरों से ज़्यादा आपको वोट लाने हैं और मल्टी कॉर्नर इलेक्शन में इजीली 32-33% वोट लाके आप सीट जीत सकते हैं. बट ऑलमोस्ट 70% वोट आपके अगेंस्ट में, तो भी वो सीट, तो भी आप विक्टोरियस हो रहे हैं. दैट इज़ फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम. प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन सिस्टम में यू नीड टू सिक्योर मोर देन 50% ऑफ टोटल वैलिड वोट. एंड कंसिडरिंग द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ द पोस्ट ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट, our constitution makers were of the opinion that person who is going to become president, he should enjoy wide acceptance in society. He should enjoy more than 50% of what? Total valid vote. So I hope now this thing must be clear in your mind. आपको ये बात समझ में आ रहा होगा कि why constitution makers they did not prefer first past the post system, why they did prefer proportional representation system. And now I will discuss with you people that who all are going to participate in presidential election. So Electoral College of Presidential Election is nothing but it is just talking about कि वो कौन से लोग हैं जो presidential election में as a voter participate करने वाले हैं. They are going to choose our president. तो since हमने discuss किया कि we have this indirect election mechanism जहाँ पे सारे लोग जिनको voting right है they cannot participate. Some selected few are going to participate and they constitute electoral college of what? President. Or electoral college of president में on your screen you will find there's 4 category of people are there. First category of people I am saying that elected member of Lok Sabha and elected member of Rajya Sabha, they will participate in presidential election. Then elected member of state legislative assembly, they will participate in presidential election. Then elected member of Delhi, Pondicherry and newly formed Union Territory Jammu and Kashmir, इनकी legislative assembly they will participate. So till now J&K has not been included, friends. I am reminding you because till now Article 54 has not been amended. But Article 54 will be amended before next presidential election. In any case, J&K will be included. So for your understanding, I have included here, but for the time being, it has not been included. But since J&K has been made a union territory, it has a legislative assembly. So whenever president election will take place, it will be also included in Electoral College. For the time being, it is not there. Delhi and Pondicherry, they are there. But later on, it will be added, and that's why I mentioned on this screen that elected member of Delhi, Pondicherry, and J&K. So who all are missing? Nominated members are missing. We are just talking about elected members of Lok Sabha, elected members of Rajya Sabha, but we are not talking about whom? Nominated members, and we are also not talking about legislative councils of state. हम केवल बात कर रहे हैं elected member of legislative assembly of state, but we are not talking about elected member of legislative councils of what? स्टेट. सो दो चीज़ें यहाँ पे मिसिंग है, लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल्स मिसिंग है स्टेट्स की, और नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर्स मिसिंग है पार्लियामेंट के. लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल को क्यों नहीं रखा गया है फ्रेंड्स? द रीज़न इज नॉट ऑल स्टेट्स दे आर हैविंग लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, एंड वी हैव टू मेंटेन some uniformity in the election of president, and because of that we have not included legislative council. We have just included legislative assemblies, considering not all states they have legislative council, only few states they have legislative council. It may lead to discrimination in favor of some state and against some state, and because of that legislative councils have not been included in presidential election. नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर्स को यूज़ नहीं किया गया है, इंक्लूड नहीं किया है. रीज़न बीइंग, नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर्स को नॉमिनेट कौन करता है? प्रेसिडेंट नॉमिनेट करते हैं ऑन द एडवाइस ऑफ होम? यूनियन काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर. सो मोस्टली दे आर कंसिडर्ड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. सो एज अ पार्ट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, इफ यू पार्टिसिपेट in next presidential election, so the person who will be contesting from the ruling party's perspective, ruling party's nomination, they are part of government. So you are part of government and you are voting for those who are being supported by government. So it may lead to conflict of interest, and because of that nominated members have not been included in Electoral College of President. फिर से मैं आपको बता दे रहा हूँ, सिंस आपको नॉमिनेट प्रेसिडेंट ने किया था ऑन द एडवाइस ऑफ होम? यूनियन काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर और द पार्टी रूलिंग एट द सेंटर. एंड सपोज नेक्स्ट इलेक्शन में आप अगर पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं तो ऑब्वियसली सिंस आपको उस पार्टी ने नॉमिनेट किया है तो उसके कैंडिडेट के लिए आप लॉयल रहेंगे, यू विल बी इन फेवर ऑफ दैट कैंडिडेट. सो एज सच आप कोई अपना व्यू पॉइंट एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर रहे हैं. इट मे इन्वॉल्व सम कन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट because you are voting for those who voted for you, who nominated you. So because of that nominated members have not been included in Electoral College of what? President. That thing you have to keep in mind, ki why legislative councils have not been included, why nominated members have not been included in Electoral College of what? President. That thing you have to keep in your mind. So on this screen I have mentioned ki why not nominated members have been included in presidential election. And further, one important thing I am saying, friend, whip cannot be issued in case of presidential election. So whip is a kind of direction issued by chief of your legislative party on the floor of house. Such whips are issued time to time just to make sure that the members of that particular party or legislative member of that particular party, they should follow party line. So any violation of whip during certain occasion will make you subject to anti-defection law. But in case of presidential election, whip issued by parties are not binding, or whip is not issued as such by the legislative parties during presidential election. So कुछ चीज़ें आपको अपने माइंड में याद रखनी है कि नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर को इंक्लूड नहीं किया जा रहा है, लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल्स को इंक्लूड नहीं किया जा रहा है, प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन की बात हो रही है, मोर देन 50% ऑफ द टोटल वैलिड वोट, विप इशू नहीं की जा सकती है. दीज थिंग्स यू हैव टू बी कीपिंग इन योर माइंड व्हेन यू आर थिंकिंग अबाउट प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन. सो ये चीज़ें आपको अपने माइंड में रखनी है कि फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम के थ्रू नहीं हो रहा है, डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन के थ्रू नहीं हो रहा है, इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर पार्टिसिपेट नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबलीज के इलेक्टेड मेंबर पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, काउंसिल्स के मेंबर पार्टिसिपेट नहीं कर रहे हैं. ऑल दीज थिंग्स यू हैव टू कीप इन योर माइंड इन केस ऑफ presidential election. And then further, Article 71 is one such article of Indian Constitution that deals with any dispute related to presidential election, and Article 71 empowers Union Parliament to enact law to regulate any matter relating to election of president, and accordingly Parliament ने एक एक्ट बनाया प्रेसिडेंट एंड वाइस प्रेसिडेंट इलेक्शन एक्ट, जिसमें बोला जा रहा है कि any such election petition challenging election of president can be filed and disposed of by only Supreme Court of India. So no other court functioning in India will have jurisdiction on matters related to any dispute associated with presidential election. तो अगर ऐसा कोई भी मैटर है तो उस पर jurisdiction केवल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया की है, किसी और कोर्ट की नहीं है. फर्दर एनी सच इलेक्शन पिटीशन कैन बी फाइल्ड या तो कैंडिडेट के द्वारा, either by candidate himself or minimum 20 electors, 20 either MLAs or MP in combination. Only they can challenge such election process on ground of malfunctioning or any wrong practices followed by presidential candidate. So ऐसी कोई भी इलेक्शन पिटीशन या तो उसके द्वारा जो कि प्रेसिडेंशियल कैंडिडेट रहा है या थ्रू मिनिमम 20 इलेक्टर कैन बी फाइल्ड, एंड आफ्टर स्क्रूटनाइजिंग इफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट फाइंड्स कि यस देयर वर सर्टेन रॉन्ग प्रैक्टिसेस, देयर वर सर्टेन माल प्रैक्टिसेस टुक प्लेस in presidential election, and finally if they decide to invalidate election of president, then even though election got invalidated, but all those acts which were initiated and completed in the name of such president, they will remain valid. So that is one important thing you have to keep in your mind, कि even after invalidation of election of president, acts initiated and completed by him, they will remain valid. And now I will try to discuss with you immediately after election. I will try to discuss with you impeachment procedure of president. impeachment और इलेक्शन को लगातार डिस्कस करने का बस एक ही आइडिया था कि थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज में, जो इलेक्शन के टाइम यूज़ हो रहा है और जो इम्पीचमेंट के टाइम पे यूज़ हो रहा है. इनको बैक टू बैक डिस्कस करने से परहैप्स इट विल बी इन योर माइंड व्हेन यू विल गो फॉर एनी एग्जामिनेशन, इट विल बी इजी टू मेमोराइज. सो फ्रेंड्स, माइंड इट, the word impeachment in case of Indian Constitution we generally use only in context of President of India. No other constitutional dignitary under Indian Constitution is impeached. Generally they are removed. So all other constitutional dignitaries are removed. Only President of India is impeached. So there is difference between removal and impeachment. Impeachment is a formal act. So after completion of procedure, automatic removal from the post is known as impeachment. Removal, I am not saying informal. Removal is less formal act where there might be certain procedure, but after completion of that procedure with some executive action only you can be removed from your post. So that is the difference between impeachment and what? Removal. So Article 61 and Article 56, these are the two articles that deal with the impeachment of president. Article 56 talks about grounds on which President of India can be impeached, and it talks about only one ground, that is violation of certain provisions of our Constitution. Only on this ground you can be impeached, no other ground for impeachment of president. While Article 61 talks about procedure through which these charges will be established for the impeachment of president, and it says that charges against president can be introduced in form of bringing a resolution in either house of parliament, either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. So president को impeach करने से related जो motion है we can bring either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. कोई restriction नहीं है, आप लोक सभा में भी ये proposal ला सकते हैं और राज्य सभा में भी ये proposal ला सकते हैं, but for its introduction in either house you need a majority of minimum 1/4 member of that particular house. So any such proposal, any such resolution can be introduced in either house of parliament only with support of 1/4 member of that particular house. Then only it can be introduced, and after its introduction the originating house means जहाँ पे ये introduce हो रहा है वो इसे पास करेंगे only after serving 14 days prior notice on president. by a majority of not less than two-thirds of total strength of house. So mind it friend, here the kind of majority I am talking about, this special majority is different. It is more than any other special majority mentioned anywhere in the constitution, in article 368, in article 352, in article 249. There also you will find mention of a special majority. But that special majority and this special majority, there is a difference. There you are saying two-thirds of member present and voting and by a majority of total strength of house. But here we are saying two-thirds of total strength of house. So it has to be passed by first house by a majority of two-thirds of total strength of house, and now it goes to second house. So अगर लोकसभा में ये ओरिजिनेट हुआ था, लोकसभा से ये पास हुआ था, तो राज्यसभा विल एक्ट एज अ सेकेंड हाउस. अगर राज्यसभा में ये इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था, राज्यसभा से पास हो गया है, तो लोकसभा विल एक्ट एज अ सेकेंड हाउस, एंड सच सेकेंड हाउस विल एक्ट एज इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग हाउस. जिस हाउस में ये इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था, जिस हाउस ने इनिशिएट किया था, दैट हाउस विल नॉट इन्वेस्टिगेट चार्जेस अगेंस्ट प्रेसिडेंट. Other house will investigate charges against president, and other house will be known as investigating house. Either it will investigate by itself or it may cause charges to be investigated by some investigating agency. And at this stage, President of India enjoys right to defend himself. वो अपने आप को डिफेंड भी कर सकते हैं जो भी चार्जेस उनके अगेंस्ट में लगे हैं, क्योंकि प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस में हमने डिस्कस किया कि नो पर्सन शुड बी पनिश अनहर्ड. सो रीजनेबल अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलनी चाहिए प्रेसिडेंट को टू एक्सप्लेन हिज ओन व्यू पॉइंट, एंड दैट ही मे डू आइदर ऑन हिज ओन और विद द हेल्प ऑफ एन एमिनेंट लॉयर आफ्टर सच इन्वेस्टिगेशन. इफ चार्जेस आर फाउंड ट्रू, इफ चार्जेस आर एस्टैब्लिश, चार्जेस सही पाए जाते हैं, और अगर सेकेंड हाउस भी एक स्पेशल मेजॉरिटी ऑफ टू-थर्ड ऑफ टोटल स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ हाउस से इस रिजोल्यूशन को पास कर देते हैं, सो द डे सेकेंड हाउस पासेस सच रिजोल्यूशन बाय ए मेजॉरिटी ऑफ टू-थर्ड ऑफ टोटल स्ट्रेंथ, प्रेसिडेंट स्टैंड्स इम्पीच. ही इज नो लॉन्गर प्रेसिडेंट. सो दिस इज द प्रोसेस थ्रू विच वी कैन इम्पीच प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया. But even after impeachment, all those acts which were initiated and completed in the name of such president, they shall remain valid. So election के टाइम पे nominated members involved नहीं थे, but impeachment के टाइम पर nominated members involved हैं. That thing you have to keep in your mind. That thing you should not forget. ये छोटी छोटी चीज़ें हैं, जब एग्जामिनेशन में आती हैं तो कई बार हम ये मिस्टेक्स कर देते हैं. हालांकि इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा कॉन्सेप्ट्स इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, बट दीज थिंग्स यू शुड कीप इन योर माइंड. कई बार एग्जामिनेशन में ये सेंटेंसेस लिखे रहते हैं और हम तो कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं और गलत ऑप्शंस को टिक कर देते हैं. सो आपको ये चीज़ें अपने माइंड में रखनी पड़ेंगी कि हु ऑल वर इन्वॉल्व इन इलेक्शन एंड हु ऑल वर इन्वॉल्व इन इम्पीचमेंट ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट. And now one small thing, that is qualification for the post of president. And friends, these qualifications are mentioned in Article 58 of the Indian Constitution, that he should be citizen of India. And mind it, I am just saying citizen of India. I am not saying ki which kind of citizen you should be there. So naturalized citizen in India also can become president of India. Unlike US, where naturalized citizen of US cannot become president of US. In Indian Constitution, there is no such restriction. You are simply saying that citizen of India can become president of India. That is a one qualification, that you should be citizen of India. You are not saying that what kind of or what category of citizen. So उसमें आप कोई distinction नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो एक naturalized citizen भी इंडिया का president बन सकता है. Minimum there should be 35 year of age and you are qualified to be a member of लोकसभा. आप लोकसभा का इलेक्शन लड़ने की सारी क्वालिफिकेशन रखते हैं. दैट इज सेकेंड क्वालिफिकेशन. थर्ड इज यू शुड नॉट बी होल्डिंग एनी ऑफिस ऑफ प्रॉफिट अंडर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, अंडर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और लोकल गवर्नमेंट. दैट इज थर्ड क्वालिफिकेशन. एंड नॉमिनेशन पेपर ऑफ एनी सच कैंडिडेट शुड बी सब्सक्राइब्ड बाई 50 प्रपोजर्स एंड अनदर 50 सेकेंडर. 50 प्रपोजर मीन्स दोज हु आर प्रपोजिंग दिस आइडिया, जो आइडिया को इनिशिएट कर रहे हैं. 50 प्रपोजर्स होने चाहिए और 50 सेकेंडर मीन्स जो इस आइडिया को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं कि यस वी आर देयर एंड वी आर सपोर्टिंग द कैंडिडेचर ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर पर्सन फॉर द पोस्ट ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट. सो इन एज अ होल यू शुड हैव सपोर्ट ऑफ 50 + 50 then only you can contest the election of what? President. And this condition has been included just to prevent frivolous petitions. So earlier it was 20 plus 20, 20 proposers and 20 seconders, but now it has been made 50 plus 50. Just say pseudo candidate, dummy candidate, frivolous candidate, they should not enter into presidential election. आपका टाइम का लॉस ना हो, सेकेंड राउंड ऑफ इलेक्शन की जरूरत ना पड़े, सेकेंड राउंड ऑफ काउंटिंग की जरूरत ना पड़े. एंड फॉर दीज रीजंस दिस कंडीशन इज देयर that nomination paper must be supported by these 100 people, 50 plus 50. So these are the qualification for contesting election of what? President. So friends, in this session I just discussed with you people one short introduction about president, why we need president, how institution or post of president got evolved over a period of 70 years. Then we tried to understand election of president, we tried to understand impeachment of what? President. These things I discuss with you people. In next class, next session I will try to discuss with you people various powers enjoyed by president, executive power, legislative power, judicial power, military power, and all other types of power, from where questions have been asked in UPSC or other state pieces examination. So in next class I will discuss those topics, and we will try to bind up this chapter of this idea of president, and then we will enter into some other aspect of your Indian polity syllabus. Till that time you should revise this idea, and next class again I will start with you people, that is various powers and privileges